The first reading is referred to as the Code of Holiness. It is a particularly evangelical passage of the Pentateuch, and the first part of it is quite concrete and has not lost any of its force. It bears observance. First of all, there is the general command to be holy, for I am holy, and then these specific commands that follow. In handling business, deceit and fraud, swearing falsely. Now, to swear is to take God as a witness of something that we're saying. As time went on, in the English language, it has come to mean using basically something which is divine or holy in speech without it being in any way linked with wanting to bring in God, just that it's become habitual and God is brought into the question. We call it just swearing. But that's the origin of it, but bringing God into our daily usage as though we were a punctuation mark, a way of underlining a point. It's not good. And remember that as we're warned in Matthew chapter 12, verse 36, we have to answer for every idle word. So if we're in the habit of bringing God into the equation, oh God, just like that, or whatever it might be which brings in the sacred into our conversation, just to make a point, it's all something which we'll have to look again one day on the other side on our copybook, totting up bad marks, unfinished business, which will mean detention somewhere before we can move on. Lent is a time to be concrete. Years ago, in formation in France, we were warned before going into retreat, the devil is not the slightest afraid of general resolutions, but very nervous about specific ones. So be specific this Lent. Do something which will have an effect, a lasting effect. And one concrete one would be never to use either the sacred in conversation, that is swearing, or vulgarity. That's the other side. Vulgarity is to, as it were, enthrone Satan in often one sacred sphere, in which man and God combine in power, which brings new angels into the world, which Satan wants to claim and make, as we say, dirty, foul language, socially unacceptable language, cursing. By the way, you men, when men are together, usually it gets worse, the army mess situation. And it's not good to be comfortable in that atmosphere. A man who's quite happy to be for long periods in a pub is exposing himself willingly to vulgarity, useless talk, damaging talk, and displeasing talk when it comes to Almighty God. So we have a choice in causa for the likely consequences of what they're going to hear in the course of an evening. Do we have to be exposed to it? Remember now, we only have a certain amount of time on earth, and conscious choices of where we spend big chunks of time will also one day come up on our copybook. Lent is a time to be aware. Each year they're coming closer to the crunch. What do we want? Bad use of time, meritless time, or merit-filled time. Time where God is in control. He's giving us graces and able to get through to us. Now we have a new one, exposing ourselves to bad stuff coming out of screens, visual and audible. Again, things which even good people might be involved in. One cannot be the friend of God and willingly expose ourselves to blasphemy against Him. And by the way, it's closer to us than we think. Because right now, in Ireland, the official television network and radio network is more and more hostile to God's church. So by having it perpetually on, we are willingly exposing ourselves to messages from instruments of the enemy of the church and ultimately of our soul, and therefore conditioning ourselves willingly by a process of erosion to bad teaching, bad messages. Again, we're responsible, and we see the result in the way that votes are swayed. People are influenced. A new norm comes in. Profaning the name of your God. And then exploiting or robbing one's neighbor. Quaint ones. You must not curse the dumb. Well, translate. Talking about somebody in their absence. It's a form of that. They can't hear you. It's what we call gossip. It's interesting. Bad news is always interesting, but at somebody's expense. And if also it's exaggerated and worse still not true, it's a genuine theft of good character, assassination. And then put an obstacle in the blind man's way. You know that the word scandal means an obstacle, scandalum, scandalon, it's something you fall over. And if we, for instance, allow a child to expose himself to bad television, we are in cause, responsible for the consequences of that. There are some parents who find it very convenient from a very early age to get a child addicted to some kind of little screen. Okay? They lost the child straight away. It's very difficult to calm a child down once he's already addicted. You won't let go of the thing. It's far better to spend quality time with the child and play with the child, give only good messages, and has the child. Less peace and quiet, and has the child. By the way, the question now is posing itself with regard to schools themselves. And I have lots of people coming to me with this problem. Can we now send them to the local school, given what they're being taught? I think you know what I mean. What if you're opting for homeschooling? The child doesn't need to know everything at the age of 4, 5 and 6. Let them have their childhood. And then the whole paragraph regarding justice. I wonder what happened actually in that court in Australia. It was very odd the way that was swayed by those High Court judges with regard to carbon and hell. I won't go to that now. Slander. Now, no one here should ever go into the mode of aggressive, slanderous, insulting talk. Whatever the situation, one should never lose one's dignity. There's far more power in the calm, self-possessed, dignified, quiet, tensioned response than the high-syllabled, hugely violent smokescreen of people who can't talk without raising their voice. It's immaturity. It's a form of the child noise. It's far more disarming is to point to that one bit of truth they haven't seen and leave it in the air with all its force. jeopardize one's neighbor's life. And this sequence, to harbor hatred for your brother in your heart. It goes on that the correct thing to do is to confront him, to correct him. Just to nourish a grudge is not good, and that's happening a lot. It can actually happen in a holy place, a convent. It's an aquarium where the fish are always bumping into each other 24/7. It can happen in the family, the same reason. So there are some things that we can control, others that we can't. We can't directly control another person's behavior directly, but we can directly control our reaction to it. We don't have to be always reacting internally to what's coming at us. We can filter and we can sanctify, otherwise what happens? We get someone else's sin. By osmosis, it's ours, we become bitter. I remember hearing this years ago in university, in a charismatic session in Bangor. It was somebody who had big gifts. He came out with this. He was praying in some assembly somewhere, one after the other for these people. And he came to this lady, and he knew with a great knowledge, a great conviction that came from the Holy Spirit, there was a problem here of unforgiveness. And the person was asking for healing, but he could see that it was blocked. And he dared to confront the lady, is there some issue of unforgiveness in your soul? And she immediately said that the unforgiveness coming from the war was still there. She lost her dear husband to the Germans, and she never let it go. So he was trying to get through to her. There was no point in hanging on to this. It wasn't doing any good whatsoever. Forgive the Germans? Never! Oh my dear, what's the point of hanging on to that? Who's gaining anything in this? Forgive them? Never! So he had to back down from this prayer. He could not carry on praying for her healing because her soul was in bitterness. There was a cancer in her soul, unforgiveness. And he could see that the whole body was becoming hardened also to the hardness of the soul. We are psychosomatic beings. There's a very thin frontier between body and soul at times. You can see it in people's face. He came back a couple of years later to the same group. By then, she was in a wheelchair. And he knew from the Lord that it was the cancer of the soul that put her there. The soul was blocked, still, by unforgiveness. So, we have a choice with what's coming at us. Do we become bitter because of someone else's bitterness, or do we in some way transform it into love and prayer for the person? We are responsible for that choice, not the other person. And then, exacting vengeance, we do it indirectly. Remember that when people are envious and jealous, they say nasty things about the other person as soon as the person comes up in conversation. Beware, my lord, of jealousy. It's the green-eyed monster that mocks the one it feeds on. It's one of the most powerful motives in human behavior on this planet. Envy and jealousy, spite. So, it concludes, you must love your neighbor as yourself, which is essentially what the Lord is going to leave us at the Last Supper, a new commandment. And as St. Paul sums it up, the whole law is contained in this one word. Love your neighbor as yourself. And by the way, it's not just loving your neighbor, but it's loving your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? We put ourselves in the skin of the person before us. And we commiserate, we sympathize, that means feel pain with, sympathing, and we empathize. We go into the person's pain and feeling, and say, oh, that's what's in there. It's not coming at the person from on high, it's in the person seeing what's going on. And it's the secret, by the way, of all genuine pastoral ministry. It's loving the person into being with that tenderness of gaze that the Sacred Heart has, who sees not the misery of the person, but the potentiality of the person for glory. Sometimes the worst cases can have a great U-turn and get to high sanctity by the oomph of turning back and having been loved into being. Do you know that one time an ex-alcoholic gave this testimony? Frank Duff was the only person who spoke up to me. Remember that next time you speak down to somebody. For in so doing, we fulfill the gospel, which is very well known and is for us. You know the story of St. Martin. He wasn't even, I think, baptized at the time. He was in the Roman army, and he saw this poor man on the street. He took his Roman garment and with his sword tore it in two. It's a chlamyde, the Roman garment they were wearing in the army, and gave half of it to this poor beggar. The following night, the Lord appeared to him in a dream, wearing that garment. It was the beginning of his great U-turn. He became a great bishop, monk, founder, preacher, and a huge number of churches that are dedicated to him now throughout France. This applies to us, e.g., the way that we handle each other. You know how Thérèse of Lisieux had a hidden victory that no one else saw. So total that the nuns that were very irritating around her never had a clue about what she might have been thinking about them. So convincing was her behavior and her smile. That's not spectacular, but it's a great victory. That we can do. E.g., a nuisance that comes to the door and to the phone. They pick up straight away whether they're a nuisance or not by our tone of voice, even look in our eyes. It's very important the way we treat each other, because in them